Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Ahmad Al-Haiki, Qatar Ambassador to Republic of Korea, Mr. Kim Byung-chil, the General Director of International Affairs, Financial Supervisory Service, fellow bankers, distinguished guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and privilege to be an integral part of this interesting conversation. Qatar and South Korea are extraordinary friend and partner over the years. The diplomatic relationship started way back in 1974. It's a very synergistic relationship in terms of substance and substantive compliance, whether trade or investment, banking or finance. It is a true measurement of friendship, an extraordinary sense of cohesive success. As a win-win model, Qatar and South Korea has evolved over the years. I'm going to showcase some of the changing dynamics in global space and how Qatar and Korea are measuring it, managing it, evolving to be a fine combination of friend and partnership. And that's the purpose of the session. And we also want to showcase, with these changing dynamics in the world, how we can add value to your business, whether you're a trader or an investor or a banker or a contracting company or a manufacturing company. We are here as professional intermediary, as a financial service to support the mission. Doha Bank, in its substance, as His Excellency has mentioned, we commenced our operations 40 years before. Our relationship in Korea itself is enduring its value since 2008. His Excellency, the Governor of the Central Bank, none other than Governor of the Central Bank, came physically and opened our office. That shows the commitment and the relationship we value between these two nations. Qatar is a country of great substance and substantive compliance. Here is my complimenting clips to show you in picture form some of the testaments which you should see today. Let me go to the presentation inside. Now, what's happening in the world is quite transformational. Transformational in terms of economic governance, transformational in terms of social governance, transformational in terms of human existence and human governance, and again, environmental governance. How these two countries have managed it and evolving to be a fine partner. Now let's look at, in global terms, this pandemic has transformed very many changing dynamics. In terms of fiscal and monetary side, convergence has taken place in global terms. Leave alone the tragic loss, but countries are coming together. 194 countries have been impacted. We have reasons to believe we have to protect this planet, endure its value for humanity and human prosperity. Let me show you some of the meaningful clips here. Let's talk about the global economy for a few minutes. Then Qatar economy. Qatar, Korean bilateral partnership, before that South Korean economy itself as a testament of finest combination of economic, social, and human governance. Global economies, since the beginning of this year, is going through this trauma. And we have been challenged in terms of sustainability. Watch this. Clearly, we are seeing from a global growth when we predicted in last year, October, in IMF, International Monetary Fund meeting in October last year in Washington, we revised to a contraction in June. The same IMF has predicted clearly you're going to have 4.9% contraction in the global growth. That's unimaginable. We are talking about a regression, 3.7 plus 4.9. 8.6% is the total impact, whether it is advanced economies or developing economies, no exceptions. Advanced economies are grossly underperforming to the tune of 8%. Contraction is 8% for advanced economies. When it comes to developing economies, again, they're going to be contracting not less than 3% in aggregate terms. That's huge. Developing economies incrementally producing the productivity, global productivity to the tune of 60-65%. Today, they are also contracting. The difference between 2008 crisis that was confined to financial crisis, that was mainly focused on finance, and advanced economies were grossly underperforming, and developing economies, emerging markets, were performing. Here, there's no exception to the frame. Everyone is in contraction except China, a marginal indication of 1% positive growth. That's subject to the alignment in terms of global trade and investment banking and finance. Who knows? Some of the contentious issues between the world power in terms of trade, and again, financial markets, which are stocks or currencies or commodities or bond or properties, today are all in gambling markets, gambling grounds, just highly volatile, defy the logic in terms of economic fundamentals. There is no connectivity between the barometer and the actual financial markets. That's the stage we are in. So what do? The economists, politicians, bankers, technocrats, central bankers are all coming together to see whether we can align. G7 has become G8, G8 has become G20 way back in 2008. The liquidity was moving into a funding crisis, funding moved into a solvency and sovereign issue those days. Today, we have learned lessons. This is not financial crisis. The financial system is much more stable. Financial Stability Board was constituted way back. Supervisory framework was set in with the realignment. And again, the capital rules have changed way back in 2008 and 9. Basel II has become Basel III. At least fundamentals have been set in. The design is strong enough to balance the frame. But you have to come out with improving the liquidity, improving the debt servicing capacity, ensuring the liquidity is there, and every individual or institution is in a position to sustain. So we have to move from disaster recovery to business continuity. And that is the name of the game. So what do? This is what policy definition is.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has kept interest rates unchanged at 0 to 0.25% and said it would keep interest rates near zero through 2022. It also projected the U.S. economy would shrink by 6.5% this year, but bounce back with a 5% gain in 2021.
We're not thinking about raising rates. We're not even thinking about raising rates. So what we're thinking about is providing support for this economy. We do think this is going to take some time.
That's the point. You have to reduce the interest rate, if not a negative interest rate. At least now we know there will not be any incremental rate, and it's close to zero. And that's where US Fed, why I'm referring Federal Reserve, we are parity linked to dollars, as Qatar currency, Qatar Riyal, is parity linked to dollar. Not only US Federal Reserve, Bank of England, or Korean Central Bank, or for that matter, you have European Central Bank, are all converging on one thing. We have to reduce the interest rate. We have to improve the debt servicing capacity. We have to meet affordability in terms of servicing. And that's what the need of the hour. What the European Central Bank has done, here is the take. Pumping liquidity is a solution. And that's what exactly every country has done. And let's see what exactly Qatar has done. Qatar, from a humble beginning of $8 billion 28 years before today, is a country of great substance. Political progression, social progression, economic progression have been the telling story across the globe. It has touched over $200 billion. The hydrocarbon, non-hydrocarbon growth are all extraordinary accomplishments. And we have seen the governance is converging in total terms. Healthcare, education, building a knowledge economy, infrastructure creations have been stupendous for us to see. Here is a model economy. Qatar, in the current context, is going to produce between 185 to 190 billion dollars as the GDP. Essentially, there is a contraction of 4.5% next year if the global economies are going to recover and world restores normalcy. And again, we will be performing not less than 4.8% economic momentum. Some of the important clips I have to show you, His Excellency Ambassador has mentioned in his speech how the commitment to infrastructure and again, a hydrocarbon comes in. Let's see some of the interesting clips. In terms of economy, we have reasons to believe we are performing well. And the banking side itself has taken enormous measures.
Located on the region's busiest shipping route, Qatar is perfectly positioned for international trade, with direct air and sea connections to Asia, Africa and Europe. Qatar is becoming a leading destination for next-generation business models. Its thriving, knowledge-based economy has helped secure its place among the most competitive business environments in the world, an ideal destination for foreign investment. The past 4 decades have seen a 9-fold increase in Qatar's population to 2.7 million. The current political blockade by neighboring countries has only served to strengthen the nation's self-sufficiency, and strategic investment continues to accelerate. Qatar has already spent $33 billion on infrastructure projects, with new contracts to be awarded over the next 3 years, not least with the 2022 FIFA World Cup on the horizon. The national strategy, Vision 2030, is even more ambitious. Qatar is known as the world's leading supplier of liquefied natural gas and a leading player in aviation and sports and the media.
That's the bird's eye view of Qatar's enlightened vision and execution. More to say in terms of central bank, what has happened in terms of monetary policy. Plenty of initiatives, $20.5 billion equivalent, 75 billion Qatar Riyal was sanctioned by His Highness Emir of Qatar. The central bank has taken the monetary measurements to improve the liquidity. The fiscal measures have also been taken, and interest rates was brought down in line with the synchronized monetary policy alignment with the US dollar. We have postponed the loans, we postponed the interest, and again, we have service charges we have waived, and also national guarantee program from Qatar Development, wage protection systems, plus rent waivers, customs duty, name a few. Extraordinary set of commitment for us to see the business continuity. Financial stability comes in prospects, and that is the purpose. Like a prudent fiscal and monetary alignment was brought in. That's commendable. Now let's look at what is ahead of us in terms of the opportunities.
As I mentioned, regarding the North Field, we are full steam ahead. We are, as we have mentioned in the past, we're going to be awarding all our contracts for North Field expansion project. We have two phases, the east and the south expansion. We're going to go from 77 million tons per annum to 110 million tons per annum by 2025, and then up from 110 to 126 by the year 2027. We've ordered all the shipping requirements, and we've booked slots for about $20 billion. We've announced just a couple of weeks ago, and that's at the cost of around $20 billion US, and we've booked up 60% of the entire world's capacity of building LNG ships. So these, we call them our moving pipelines, if you will, but that's to have our full supply chain up and ready by the time we have all the developments in place.
That's the level of commitment. So it's going to be scaled up. Ambassador has mentioned clearly the scaling up the LNG hydrocarbon, and again, allied transportation as well. Shipbuilding comes from Korea as well. So extraordinary set of initiatives have been taken on the hydrocarbon side. Let's look at the non-hydrocarbon. These are some of the engineering marvels in terms of design and executions. You're all welcome to 2022. His Excellency was mentioning, and we are here to host you with absolute hospitality. Let's look at the airport now. I have taken all the precautionary measures in terms of COVID, and here is.
The world around us has changed and placed new challenges to the travel experience. At Hamad International Airport, we have embraced the change and elevated our safety measures. We are adopting new wearable intelligent technology. Smart screening helmets are safe and effective. It uses advanced technologies like infrared thermal imaging, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality display. Staff will continue to be screened, as well as passengers, at arrival and boarding points. We have also introduced disinfection robots, which reduce the spread of infectious germs in crucial areas using ultraviolet light. Thorough sanitization and disinfection will continue to take place at all high contact areas. Baggage handling belts, trolleys and tubs will be routinely disinfected. All departing, arriving and transferring baggage will be disinfected as well. Hand sanitizers will be made available at all key locations. Social distancing of 1.5 meters will continue to be established through floor markings, clear signage, and implementing distance seating. We are here. and we are ready to provide you with a safe journey in the future so that you can travel with confidence once again.
World-class infrastructure and world-class airline. And that's what exactly Qatar Airways is all about, and the airport, Hamad International Airport, is all about. So we are all set. That's not allowed. Qatar as an economy has taken a lot of initiatives. Here are some of the clips. Qatar exchange traded funds. Your ability to invest and make the most out of it. One silver bullet solution. Qatar's economic barometer is reflected in this exchange traded fund. Let me move on to the next one. Look at the free zones.
Authority is establishing a cluster of free zones, including Ras Bafuntas, located beside Hamad International Airport, the best airport in the Middle East, and Al Houl, with direct access to Hamad Port, the world's biggest greenfield port development. Qatar free zones offer foreign investors 100% ownership, zero customs duty and corporation tax, no individual income tax, quick building permits, and access to a skilled workforce. On the ground, free zones also provide fully serviced plots, dedicated security, hotel and retail facilities, as well as advanced broadband to ensure optimal connectivity. While Qatar welcomes investment in any sector, exciting opportunities already exist in logistics, e-commerce, food packaging, pharmaceuticals, and plastics. With an eye to the future, we're also focused on disruptive industries, such as renewable energy, power storage solutions, and artificial intelligence. Be part of the Qatar Free Zones initiative, with everything in place, from essential infrastructure and facilities to ease of shipping and customs. Your business can flourish as a truly global player in partnership with the Qatar Free Zones Authority.
You have special economic zone, you have free zones, you have flat income tax rate of 10%. For the corporates, individuals are not taxed. What else you want? You have airport, world class, you have seaport, excellent infrastructure, which is completely modernized, and you have free zones to support in multiple forms. Let's move on to the next opportunity we have. Investments. Yeah. See the shadow, sunset rather, and you could see Doha Bank as well. And as next time when you visit Qatar, you're most welcome to our bank as well. And let me also invite Mr. Kim. you're most welcome to Doha, and we are here to host you. Let's move on to the next one. See.
يعتبر توفر بوابة إلكترونية موثوقة لخدمة الإنترنت المصرفي أمرا ذا أهمية قصوى. أهلا وسهلا بكم في البوابة الإلكترونية لخدمة الإنترنت المصرفي للشركات في بنك الدوحة، والتي تعد منصة رقمية متكاملة للخدمات المصرفية للشركات. تم تصميمها لتلبية جميع متطلباتكم المالية. دعونا نتطرق إلى محمد الذي تغير أسلوب حياته بالكامل بعد استخدامه لبوابة خدمة الإنترنت المصرفي من بنك الدوحة، حيث تقدم قائمة الأنشطة لمحة شاملة ومفصلة عن نشاطه المالي. وبفضل خدمة الإنترنت المصرفي من بنك الدوحة بإمكان محمد تنفيذ جميع معاملاته براحة تامة من مكتبه.
This is what Ahmad was mentioning. We can support through online portal for the corporate and commercial banking. We also have especially tailored. We move on to the next one. Korean economy is again a telling story. Extraordinary set of performance, 2.3 trillion. And even during these pandemic days, the economic projection, the contraction is bare minimum. It's going to be less than 1.3%. And essentially next year, with the normalcy restored, Korea is going to do 3.3%. Inflation is completely moderate, 0.27%, and possibly they will run with current account surplus, and that's a model economy. And let's see Korean economy in substance. As an economy, an outstanding performer, and watch the action.
Against market expectations, the Bank of Korea slashed its policy rate by 0.25 percentage point. The central bank also projected minus growth for the Korean economy this year, the first in 11 years. The negative growth forecast is believed to have led to the rate cut.
That says it all.
The Bank of Korea's Monetary Policy Board held a rate-setting meeting and lowered the key rate by 0.25 percentage point to an all-time low of 0.5%. The decision was unanimously approved by all board members. The BOK carried out a 0.5 percentage point rate cut 2 months ago, and market expectations were betting on a rate freeze this time. The latest trim comes as the global economy is rapidly contracting amid the coronavirus pandemic. Korean exports last month dropped 24% from a year ago, causing a deficit in the trade balance for the first time in 99 months. For these reasons, the BOK has further lowered this year's growth forecast by 2.3 percentage points to minus 0.2% negative growth, alongside another rate cut. A minus growth forecast by the central bank is the first in 11 years since the global financial crisis. But even this prediction is based on the premise that the pandemic will be subdued.
이번 전망은 전 세계 코로나19의 확진자 수가 2, 4분기 중에 정점에 도달하고 국내에서도 대규모의 재확산이 발생하지 않을 것이란 전제 하에로 저는.
With the government expected to announce a third extra budget bill, Bank of Korea Governor Lee Ju-yeol said insufficient response will bring about even greater long-term losses and pledged support to spur recovery in growth.
That's the point. Now we have seen trade, extraordinary set of bilateral trade, nearly 13.3 billion. Let me move on. Now, what's the fiscal?
The South Korean government submitted its largest ever supplementary budget for National Assembly screening on Thursday morning. The budget, worth some $29 billion, is the third of its kind this year, aimed at cushioning the economic impact of COVID-19. Much of it will be used to aid local businesses and to create jobs. The parliament plans to review the budget as soon as the 21st National Assembly opens by as early as this week. And once passed by the parliament, the finance ministry plans to implement 75% of the extra budget within 3 months.
That's wonderful. Now, this is not alone. Let's look at the bilateral relationship. Now, in bilateral terms, banking has been very profound in terms of evolution, and Korean pension funds or development banks or even commercial banks have been friend and partner for commercial banks, especially Doha Bank, since 2007 and 8. Now we have extraordinary opportunities. Watch the relationship in political terms. Some of the clips I'm going to show you. Then I'm going to ask my head of international, what's the banking relationship we are growing.
Starting us off this afternoon, President Moon Jae-in is holding a bilateral summit with the Emir of Qatar at South Korea's top office as we speak. Let's get the latest from our correspondent Shin Se-min, who's on the line for us. Se-min, they met this morning, but the two leaders are now having a working luncheon together, correct?
Right, Kiyun. The leaders of South Korea and Qatar have gone into their lunch at the top office as we speak, and President Moon and Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, met for about an hour this morning where they talked about ways to improve the comprehensive partnership between the two sides, eventually leading to the signing of 7 MOUs. Now, this Envision cooperation is thought to be in the fields of smart farming, agriculture, land transportation, and smart grid technology. Let's listen to President Moon.
한국과 카타르 양국이 소중한 친구이자 전방위적 동반자로서 다양한 분야에서 우호 협력 관계를 발전시켜오고 있는 것을 아주 기쁘게 생각합니다. 오늘날 양국 간 교역 규모는 170억 불에 달하며 많은 한국 기업들이 카타르에 진출하여 인프라 건설과 경제 발전에 기여를 해왔습니다.
And President Moon also added that Qatar is an abundant source of LNG, the liquefied natural gas for South Korea, emphasizing the need for even more constructive and cooperative relations going forward.
Now, Sebi, we hear President Moon and the Emir have been discussing lighter topics as well.
Right. The two leaders also discussed the 2022 FIFA World Cup that will be hosted in Qatar. Now, it'll be the first time for the World Cup to take place in a Middle Eastern nation, so the leaders are expected to have talked about their experiences on building upon that. And we must remember, of course, that South Korea co-hosted the 2002 World Cup with Japan. And both leaders are believed to have discussed other sports corporations as well. And Hyun, we should know more specifics in the coming hours, and I'll bring you those updates later in the day. Back to you.
Now, just to amplify and conclude as well, the South Korea bilateral relationship, Qatar, South Korea trade exceeds 13 billion, as I said. Korean gas, co-gas agreement with RasGas for 9 million tons since 2012. In fact, I was there in Seoul when this signature took place. And export to South Korea is LNG, oil and petrochemicals. And again, we are also importing many power equipments. We are using it in infrastructure Korea support. More than 37 fully owned Korean companies in Qatar, 140 joint ventures, investment partnership, and when it comes to EPC companies, engineering companies, now we have a very good market. Qatar has got business incubation center for support for startups, major projects. In Qatar, already Korean companies have participated with the Lusail Expressway or Humal Power. Major Korean companies, Hyundai Engineering, Samsung, and they are participating in the larger projects in terms of shipbuilding. So we have reasons to believe.
Qatar Petroleum has signed shipbuilding agreements with South Korea's big 3 shipyards to buy more than 100 ships in a deal worth more than $19 billion. It's the largest LNG ship contract in history. Sources say that 3 South Korean companies, Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering, Hyundai Heavy Industries, and Samsung Heavy Industries will construct around 40 ships each by 2027.
So that's the opportunity we are building in bilateral terms, and we have growing relationship in terms of hydrocarbon. We have growing relationship in non-hydrocarbon, and we are also going to see how Doha Bank as a professional institute can support the bigger mission in various segments, whether it is SME, whether it is investments, whether it is corporate and commercial banking, trade, or in terms of FI or institutional banking or banking relationship. Here is a country with a significant credit rating, AA rated country. Doha Bank itself is an A-rated bank. We are here to support your mission in bilateral partnership, synergistic partnership. That is the purpose of the session. You have seen the opportunities in Qatar. You have also seen how the bilateral opportunities, synergistic relationship is evolving between Qatar and Korea in terms of changing dynamics. World economies are going through reorganization. Here is the relationship. Further, consolidate in synergistic terms to bring in values to all the stakeholders. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind participation.